Superman is my favorite movie of the year. There are a ton of great movies that came out this year that I've loved, but none of them are Superman. Superman is incredible. It is absolutely fantastic. The casting was amazing, and the plot and just structure of the movie was near perfect for what I wanted from a Superman movie, really for a very long time, but even more specifically right now. I originally recorded this video Wednesday after watching it for the Tuesday night preview, but then I accidentally deleted it and didn't have a chance to re-record it. But I saw the movie a second time last night, Friday night, and it's great. It's still great. Even on the second viewing, it is just as good, and in some ways a little bit better. I do not see me tiring of this movie anytime soon. It was fantastic. The cast was incredible. David Corenswet is an absolutely perfect casting for Superman. He brings a boyish charm, but also just a general sense of wanting to do good. He's funny when he needs to be funny without being quippy and making real jokes. He's just kind of has that charm to him. Rachel Brosnahan is a perfect Lois. This is seen especially during the interview scene. Most of the movie, she's doing fantastic work, but specifically during the scene where she's interviewing Superman, and this is a good, 10-plus minute scene. She's intense, she's thoughtful, and she's asking questions that are hard-hitting and require thought, and she's doing this at a breakneck speed in a last-minute interview. It is a near-perfect example of what you would expect from a Lois. I think that is her best scene in the movie that's focused on her mostly, and it is a incredible representation of what I would want from a Lois Lane in modern media. I understand that as a news reporter for a newspaper, it's a little hard to kind of bring the Daily Planet in general up to modern day without a lot of major changes to just what it is. But I think they do a really good job here, and I think Lois is a really good example of that. Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor is both menacing and kind of pathetic, but in a way that you don't look down on him. Like, with any thought, you can look at him and be like, yeah, he is just a jealous, obnoxious asshole. But also, he knows it, and he just doesn't care. The final speech from him in the movie is that he knows that he's jealous of Superman, and he does not care that he's jealous of Superman. He still wants him dead. And I like that. He's the biggest hater, and it is wonderful to have someone who's just that hateful be Lex Luthor. And while that's the main cast, the next kind of rung under that is just as incredible. I was a little not thrilled about the Guy Gardner casting. It's not that I have anything against Nathan Fillion, but he's a little older, and it just seemed like it'd be mostly a joke casting. But no, he's actually great. This is just Guy Gardner. This is what I would expect Guy Gardner to act like. This is what he acts like in the comics. This is kind of what I expect him to act like in a Superman movie. And it's fun. It's funny. He's not quite an asshole, but very arrogant and cocky, and kind of full of himself. He brings a good levity to the movie that I think is fun. His back and forth with the other members of the Justice Gang is fun to watch. And speaking of the Justice Gang, Isabella Marced is great as Hawkgirl, out here screaming like she's in the paradise. And this is fantastic. I kind of wish we got more time with her. I think that she gets the least screen time and the least to do in the movie. Coming just under Guy Gardner is probably the least two important people in this movie, despite not being cameos, just kind of very minor roles. But they're both great. They are doing a fantastic job. I would really like to see more of her as Hawkgirl, and I believe we're going to get that in Peacemaker Season 2. So we'll see. I am excited to see more of this incarnation of Hawkgirl, though. And the final member of the Justice Gang, Mr. Terrific. He's the most prominent member of the Justice Gang in the movie. You see him the most. He has the most, not just the most screen time, but the most impactful scenes, and he's the most directly connected to the plot. and he's fantastic. Eddie Gaetti is doing a fantastic job as Mr. Terrific. I really like Mr. Terrific in the comics, and to see him here, it's great. He not only does he look the part, he's probably the best looking character in the movie outside of like the main three. Definitely the best looking of the Justice Gang, but he's great in every scene. He steals every scene he's in. His fight when defending Lois using the orbs is incredible, and just every time he shows up, it's good. And he has a pretty decent sized role in the middle of the movie, and then is significant in resolving the plot of the movie. He has a lot of good back and forth with the other members of the Justice Gang, with Superman, with Lois. He is all around probably one of the best members of this cast, in a cast that's already filled with people doing incredible jobs in their roles. This is a fantastic casting. This is near perfect casting. I don't think there's anyone I would actually change, to be honest, or that I don't want to see more of. And I think that's important. Moving away from the characters, I think it's really important that this movie sets up not just being a good Superman movie, but it's the introduction, really, to a new shared universe, a new, the DCU, and it doesn't need to set up future projects, but I think it's important that it instills that we want to see more of this world, and this movie does that. I want to see more of basically every character in this movie. There is no one in this movie who I wouldn't be willing to just watch more of. I really liked that this movie's only 2 hours, but I could have watched this for 5 and been happy. There's no one here that is not so entertaining to watch and just so engaging to watch. I could watch a show about any of the Justice Gang. I could watch a show about just the Justice Gang. I could see a series about the Daily Planet being entertaining because everyone there is fun and exciting. And speaking of excellent writing, the story itself is incredibly well written. It's not it is not paced the best. I think the first little chunk is a little awkward. Right up into the main plot beat of the Superman message from his parents that we get. I think prior to that, it's a little messy of a plot. It's a little messy of a movie, but not in necessarily the worst way. They're just throwing a lot at you, which is something I kind of expected. We're being dropped in the middle of a ongoing universe. This isn't the DCU at its origin. This is a DCU that's already been living and thriving, despite this being our first real entry in it. So a lot is being thrown at you at once. You're kind of just expected to know and understand what's going on. And personally, I didn't find that to be a problem, as not only am I already a DC fan and just, ingrained in this, but years of Marvel movies and DC movies and comics and everything else have kind of taught me what a lot of this stuff is. However, if you are not a fan of these things, I could see it being a little confusing. Although I don't really know why you'd be watching this movie if you're not a fan of these things. This isn't like when Iron Man first came out and superhero movies were like still somewhat new. Like, yeah, we had the older Batmans. We had the current ongoing Batman at the time. Spider-Man was around. X-Men was around. Not that it was the first superhero movie or anything, but that was like the first introduction to like a truly shared universe. And even then, superhero movies were like the big characters and then like a couple of one-offs, right? It wasn't as big of a deal. At this point, superhero movies have been around for so long. The shared universe has been around for so long. We've done a lot of this. If you don't like it, you're probably not going to like this movie anyway. So I think they made the right choice in just kind of throwing you in there. If you're into this, you're going to understand or you're going to figure it out quickly. It's not super complicated or anything like that. And if you're not into it and you can't figure it out, well, you probably weren't going to like this movie or even really want to watch this movie to begin with. So it doesn't really matter. I think that's a perfect middle ground. As it appeases the fans more quickly, we get more from this. Again, we get Superman fighting a kaiju. We get the Justice Gang's already just here, which is just another group of heroes that Superman interacts with. Everyone already knows who Superman is, and the weird things that happen just aren't shown to be like extremely weird. Like they can throw us into an alternate dimension, and it's fine. We just accept that that's the way this universe works, and it's okay. And I think that's great. That's one of the strengths of the movie for me, but I could see some people maybe complaining about that a little bit. And I think that is mostly seen in the earliest part of the movie, where a lot is coming at you in rapid succession, and maybe you need a little time to kind of figure out what's going on. I will say on the second viewing, I definitely had zero issue with it. Well, on the first viewing, I could see the problem, even if it didn't bother me. By the second viewing, it just all kind of clicked immediately. Like, you know what's going to happen, you know what's going on. And lastly, I just want to touch on the themes of this movie. Superman is all about peace and saving people and helping people and kindness, and I think this movie exemplifies that to a T. Everything about this movie, every decision Superman makes is with the greater good in mind, and I think that is the core of Superman. He goes out of his way not just to save a dog from the kaiju, getting stepped on and getting him out of the way, but I think the bigger one, he saves a random squirrel during the same fight. Again, fantastic. That's what you want to see from Superman. In the trailer, you see him saving a child from, canisters exploding. Seeing him just save people, I think, is something we've been missing from superhero movies in general. There isn't just a whole lot of, saving random people on the ground anymore. They've gotten so big now that we need, cosmic threats and, major entities. There's not so much. Even the street level heroes just don't really have so much of this day-to-day, just saving someone from getting hit by a car, the monotonous savings. And I like that they really put that into one of the major battles of the movie, a major conflict in the movie. He spends a lot of time just saving people, and I think that's great. But even deeper than that, at a core level, the major plot of this movie is Superman stopping a war between two countries, and I think that is great. I think Superman choosing a side and saying, I understand that this country may not be perfect, but that doesn't give you the right to invade them, is big. I think that is a huge thing to put in a summer blockbuster, especially given the real-world climate that is. I don't think that there's a way you can look at this movie and not see the very clear Israel-Palestine connection or comparison being made, and Superman picks a side, and he picks the side of the Palestinians in this. He is just on their side. There's just really not a way to say this without just being very blatant, because that's how the movie is. He looks at what's happening, sees a country that is significantly more powerful, significantly more advanced in terms of military, and that is actively trying to tear down another country because they want to split it with a jackass of a billionaire that is an ally, part of an allied nation. He picks a side there, and he chooses the side of the Palestinians. In the movie, they obviously give these countries different names, but to be honest, I feel like you could have wrote this script with just Israel-Palestine as the names of these countries, and then just, Controlled F to change the names of everything, because Jarhanpur is such a clear and so clearly analogous to Palestine, and Bravia is just literally just Israel. It is almost impossible. You have to intentionally try. You have to go out of your way to kind of push a narrative that this is not what is being said in the movie to not get it. It is just clear as day that is what he is talking about. That is what is being shown. And I think that's great to put that in a summer blockbuster, a movie that people are going to go see pretty much regardless. It's not in the marketing, and nothing surrounding the movie is this mentioned, but it is very clearly baked into the DNA of the movie and of the plot, that once you see the movie, you can't help but just see what he's getting at. That if Superman were here, that's the side he would pick, because that's the correct side. That is the right side, because that they are the people being terrorized. There is no middle ground there. They are being terrorized, regardless of any other opinion you may have. You're allowed to not like certain things. You're not allowed to like certain things that people have done or that groups may have done. But that's not the same thing as a country just waging war on another because they can. And he makes it very clear that he does not speak for America, that he does not speak for anything else or anyone else. He's speaking purely for himself. And I think that's what makes the interview with Lois so important. He has a little rant in the middle of it before they change subject to Supership that he's not talking for America. He's not speaking for anyone else. He's speaking for the greater good and for himself and for saving people. And that's all he's trying to do. And that's what he does. He picks a side because that's the right side. That's the side that needs his help. Fantastic movie. Absolutely loved it. And I cannot wait to see it again. I will probably see it a third time. I could watch this movie a million times and not get tired of it. I love Superman. I always have and I always will. And even when he is being shoved into shitty movies by someone who just doesn't understand the character itself is still immensely important and incredibly resonant, and I love the character. So very excited for this movie, cannot wait for more, and that's really all I got. Thanks for watching. Bye.